Mike, given your expertise in sales leadership, can you talk a little bit about pivoting your sales strategy midstream? What would have triggered the change? And how'd you work through that transition where you had the team going, they're all aligned, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, maybe we're not headed in the right direction. And that's hard to step up to as a leader and admit we got to go in a different direction. Can you give us an example of that and how that worked for you?
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly been times when we've been working on a particular deal where you had to reassess the strategy and change your tactics or your strategy, midstream. But I'd say that probably the most fundamental or biggest pivot occurred in the mid 2000s. I had a career with about 10 years with a company called Jakarta in the mapping space. This is after you and I had worked together. We ultimately sold to Uber. But in that period, the whole SaaS business was taking off and developers sort of king at that point, becoming king. And we were transitioning from sort of selling large strategic deals to really more engineers that were looking to find a widget or a tool that they could plug into their applications and solutions. And we had to build really a much higher volume self-serve business than more of a bespoke kind of business we had before, where it was, very lengthier sales cycles, much, more elaborate contracts. And we had to transition to a more self-service and discovery business. So discovery on the web, through to organic search and SEO optimization. So you rose above the noise and got, found out by engineers that are looking for, a routing engine, and then making that a fairly seamless and frictionless process for them to engage with your product, which ultimately would turn into a large deal. But it was definitely a different outreach process, definitely a different marketing effort, and then a very different way to engage with the ultimate audience, the decision maker, who was potentially some engineer who would build something, and then all of a sudden it was baked into their product, and you had a deal. So that was probably the one place where we had to kind of transition the whole sales strategy and marketing strategy to fit a dynamic that was, in the industry, not a particular opportunity or buyer.
Yeah, and it sounds like ultimately you're better servicing the customers and prospects by listening to the market and evolving rather than just trying to keep forcing that status quo.
Exactly. Listen to the way they want to buy, the way they want to engage with you for technology, and building all the infrastructure around that to support it.